All right, welcome everybody. This is our last lesson, 7.4. We're going to be extending what we learned from 7.3 with graphing logs from transformations. So again, last time k was always 0, and it's going to be a little different now, so we want to make sure you understand how to handle those types of problems, but it's kind of similar, or very similar, okay? So here we have an example where we're going to graph. I already have some of the information in our table. Again, you're going to need to come up with your table, and a little hint is it's always helpful to have our second value for our y table to be our k, and then go down and then up as you go along, if that makes any sense. So we started it with 4, and then we're going to go down to 3 and then up to 5, 6. Usually that's plenty. And then I also put in the 0 for the y. Again, that's your x-intercept. And then 0 for your x, which is your y-intercept. Again, that doesn't always, and there's not always a y-intercept, so we need to always check that. Usually if we sketch it, then you'll see it anyways when we graph it, okay? And then you'll need to find the asymptote, domain range, and both of the intercepts that I just talked about, okay? So again, it's helpful when we do these problems that you would write your equation in exponential form. So here, again, if you want this to be a y, that's fine, and we would want to have, get rid of the log, so we'd get 2 to the y. Oh, sorry, I messed that up already. Okay, order of operations. We would want to subtract 4 first. Okay, and then we would do its exponent. So we would do a base of 2. And that would cancel. Okay, probably shouldn't skip steps. Let's write this out. Okay, and then we would base of 2, base of 2. Okay, so we'll end up getting 2 to the y minus 4 is equal to x. So again, we're just going to plug in x, or the y value, or f of x, and see what we end up getting. So here we'll get 2 to the 3 minus 4 is equal to x, and again, this would be 2 to the negative 1, which is 1/2. Okay. When we do the next one, it would be 2 to the 4 minus 4, which is 2 to the 0, which is 1. And you're still going to see this kind of pattern that we had before, that this is like a doubling machine. So these answers, you're going to see kind of the same sort of doubling, okay, to some extent. And I'll give you an example where it might be a little different, okay? So here again, the next thing here, if we can continue that pattern, would get 2 to the 5 minus 4, which is 2 to the 1, which is 2. So again, it doubled. The next one will end up being 4. So 1/2, 1, 2, 4, okay? And then we want to do it when it's 0, okay? Well, so we would have 2 to the 0 minus 4, and that would give us 2 to the negative 4. And again, it's a doubling machine, but it's going to make it be a fraction. So it'll be 1 over 2 to the 4th, or 2, 4, 8, 16. So 1/16. Okay. If we were to go and plug in x for 0, again, we would have 2. Well, let's just go back to the original equation. Okay. And again, oftentimes when you graph it, you won't need to do this because you're going to see that it won't have a y-intercept. But if you wanted to do it by hand, we would say something like y equals log base 2 of 0. equals, or sorry, plus 4. And we'd say 2 to the what gives us 0, and there's nothing that would make that happen, so this one's D and E. But you'll also be able to see it when we just graph it, okay? So our asymptote, we should know that right away. It's just our H, okay? So here it's 0, so 0, x equals 0, sorry. Okay, so we could probably sketch that right now. And we'll plot all the other points. So here we have at 1/2, it's 3. At 1, it's 4. At 2, it's 5. At 4, it's 6. And then we also did at 0, it's 1/16. So this would be like really close to the asymptote. Okay. And then I think our next one, if I can remember, we could continue. If you're like not sure and you wanted to add another point, again, we know that this is doubling. So next would be 8 when we have 7. So 7, 8. Sorry. 8, 7. I had it backwards. Okay, there we go. And this again keeps going down forever. Don't let it cross. Okay. All right, so that's it. Basically, again, recommendation is we'll like go here from the first thing. We'd maybe want to start by saying, oh, our k is -2. So I would just start by putting -2 in that spot, and then we'll go the opposite direction. Sorry, that would actually be -3, -1, 0. And then we also want to find its x-intercept and its y-intercept. So this one is our x-intercept, this is its y-intercept, and I think that will probably be good enough. So again, we'll switch it into exponential form. We'll say that's y. Would need to add 2 is equal to log base 3 of x plus 1. And then we will get rid of the log. Oops, that's 3. And then we'll have to subtract 1. So 3 to the y plus 2 minus 1 is equal to x. Okay? All right, so let's plug these in. Again, you'll have to be able to do this without a calculator. So 3 to the -3 plus 2 minus 1. This will be 3 to the -1 minus 1. And that would give us 1/3 minus 1, so -2/3. Next one, -2 plus 2 minus 1, which would be 3 to the 0 minus 1, which would be 1 minus 1. Okay, so again, we're going to see this is going to have that same tripling power. It's being multiplied every time. So the next one would be 3 minus 1. And then the next one would be 9 minus 1 if we had on our table, which we do actually right there. Okay, so those answers would be 2 and 8. Okay, and then again, maybe we could just sketch that first and see if what this looks like. So our asymptote should be x equals -1. So we can draw that. So this means that we will have a y-intercept. Okay. So why don't we figure that out really quick? So y-intercept is when x is 0. So y equals log base 3 of x, which is 0, minus 2. And again, this is saying 3 to what power gives you a 1. So that has to be 0, because 3 to the 0 is 1. And then we would subtract 2, so we'd end up getting negative 2. So let's plot all these points. So we've got negative 2/3, comma, negative 3. So that's down here. And then at 0, it's negative 2. At 2, it's negative 1. At 8, it's 0. And then at, oh, we already had that one. Sorry. I guess I didn't need to do that because we already did it previously. Okay? And then we'll just connect those dots and we're good. Okay, I guess we'll answer these questions. So domain goes from negative 1 to infinity. Doesn't include the negative 1 because that's where our asymptote is. Our range goes from negative infinity to infinity. And our intercepts, and we already wrote those down, that's our y-intercept is 0, negative 2. And our x-intercept is 8, 0. All right. I have like 4 more examples. You probably don't want to go over all of those. I do have them all filled in on Canvas in the filled in notes. Let me look at them really quick and see if there's anything that is out of the ordinary that you need to make sure that we talk about. So I'm just going to go over C and probably go over D and E. Let's do D and E. And that should be good enough. So we'll do D and E. Okay, if you would, maybe pause and give this a try on your own, and then you should be good. Okay, so again, I'm going to encourage you, this is your A, or your H and your K, to always have this be your K. So that's negative 1. So would go, here would be negative 2, here would be 0, and then maybe 1. We'll already have our x-intercept, but we still need to find its y-intercept. So we'll put that there, okay? And then we'll solve, or switch it to exponential form. So y, again, we'd want to add 1. Sorry, that's a little confusing. I'll put it up here. Okay, and then we would do its, I don't know why I keep doing that. It's cancel out the log by using its base. And then we would need to subtract, or add 2 to both sides. So 2 to the y plus 1 plus 2 should be equal to x. Okay? And then we will just start plugging stuff in. So this will be what? 2 to the negative 2 plus 1. So the thing is, if you set it up with k, you'll always end up having like 2 to the negative 1, 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, and then 2 to the 2, okay? So it'll always turn out that way. And then we're always, here for this example, we're going to add 2 to all of those, okay? So 2 to the negative 1 would be 1/2, plus 2 would be 2 1/2. And this would be 1 plus 2, which is 3. This would be 2 plus 2 is 4. And then 4 plus 2 would be 6. So that should give us all the points that we need. And then if we plug 0 in, let's see what happens. So we'd get y equals log base 2 of 0 minus 2, which is just negative 2. Okay, so here we have an example where, you can't have a negative answer when we're doing logs. Okay, so this is going to be a D&E. All right, let's plot these values. Our asymptote will be at negative 2. Sorry, try that again. Positive 2. So that's why we can't have a y-intercept. Okay, and then we'll plot, let me write that down. So again, it's x equals h, so x equals 2. Domain, we can already write that down. It goes from 2 to infinity, and the range goes from negative infinity to infinity. And then we already got our intercepts would be 4, 0. Okay, so let's plot all those points. 2.5, comma negative 2 would be right here. And then 3, negative 1, 4, 0, and then 6, 1. And then we can connect those dots. And you're done. Okay, let's do one more example. Again, we want to find what k is, so this would be 0. So we're going to start at 0, and we'll go down 1, and we'll go up a couple. Again, sometimes this will go out of your graph, and then you wouldn't need to do it. And then we need to find the y-intercept. Okay? So again, we'll put this into exponential form. So we would get rid of the log is equal to x plus 8, and then we need to subtract 8. So 2 to the y minus 8 is equal to x. And we'll just plug that in again. So 2 to the negative 1 minus 8. So that would be 1/2 minus 8. So negative 7.5. 2 to the 0 minus 8. That's 1 minus 8, which would be negative 7. 2 to the 1 minus 8 is 2 minus 8, or negative 6. And then 2 to the 2 minus 8 equals 4 minus 8, which is negative 4. If we were to plug in x for 0, so log base 2 of 8, and would say 2 to the what is 8? It's 3. Okay, so we were almost there. If we did one more, we would have gotten to it anyways. Okay, so our asymptote, again, is x equals h, so x equals negative 8. And we can sketch that. And then we'll plot all the other points. So negative 7.5, comma negative 1, negative 7, 0, negative 6, 1, negative 4, 2, and then 0, 3. Okay? And there might be better points as we go along. I think the next one would be, we already did 2 to the 3 would be 8. 8 minus 8 is 0, which we already got that, but we could keep going. There might be a better spot after that. So it would be 16 minus 8, which would be 8. So I think there's one more point. Again, maybe want to keep going. Okay, our domain goes from -8 to infinity. Range, -infinity to infinity. And then we already got our x-intercept is 7, 0, and our y-intercept is 0, 3. Okay, well, if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this is okay, and we'll see you later.